Good day, everyone, and welcome to the first fight attack analysis in self-defense. And today I'm going to be talking to you about grappling and answering the question, how effective is grappling in self-defense? And today I'm going to be showing you a case where grappling is effective and cases where grappling is not effective. So I'm going to start with this one, showing you a video of two men arguing and one grappler defending against that. So let's watch. We're going to watch the video, and then we're going to analyze it. Okay, so here we have two men arguing, and he puts his arm up and then he hits him a little bit.
Why are you touching you? Why are you touching you? Why are you touching you?
So
pop that bottle.
He seems to be turning away.
Nobody gonna jump in. Nobody gonna jump in. Nobody gonna jump in.
And what I like, this guy has his arms up, one in the brown sweater, so that's good. And in a defensive posture, so he's ready. He's ready for whatever attacks are coming in. And the guy in the blue sweater comes in, and then, that's perfect timing right there. Okay, so let's go back and analyze what happened. Here you can see that the guy in the blue is being aggressive, and he's all up in his face. He's pushing him with his arms and everything. And an important key principle that you need to understand is you have to keep your distance. You can't stay that close to a potential threat, and you have to be aware of the situation that you're in. In terms of body language, you can clearly see that the guy in the blue is being aggressive and violent, and he's violating his personal space. He's hitting him, and he's being verbally threatening and whatnot.
Why are you touching him?
So in this particular situation, you should already be working on verbal de-escalation and diffusing the situation. Not getting defensive, but having a non-threatening posture, and being empathetic, asking, how can I help you? Those are all skills that you need in any potentially violent situation. And it also helps to back up when your potential attacker is getting close to you, because distance is very important. And let's keep watching.
That bottle. Nobody gonna jump in. Nobody gonna jump in. Nobody gonna jump in. Nobody gonna jump in. Pop. Yo, pop. Pop that bottle. Pop that bottle. Fucking hands down, nigga. Hands down. Fucking hands. Put your fucking hands down, nigga. Yeah, that nigga hit you. That nigga just hit you. That nigga just hit you. That's your hand. That's it. That's it.
So here's what I love about this. Guy in the blue rushes in, and the guy in the brown doesn't waste any time and moves behind him and then applies the chokehold. That's the speed and efficiency that you need in any grappling situation. It's all about speed, timing, and awareness of your opponent. So, and let's keep watching. And I also love what he does here. He backs up against the wall and uses it as cover to keep him from being attacked from behind, and keeping everything in his vision. So that's very smart of him to do that. And while he's using his attacker as a shield to defend against any potential threats. And that's another thing you need to keep in mind when grappling in a standing position. You need to use the environment to your advantage, and be aware of your surroundings, and, and take a strategic approach rather than just relying on a bunch of techniques to help you out. That's way more effective than just doing a 1, 2, 3 movement and and whatnot. So in this situation, we could see that clearly um, grappling is effective in a standing position. Although now let's go on to a case where grappling is not so effective. Okay, so here we have a case of uh, one grappler fighting a bunch of others. I'm not particularly sure what started this fight, but we can see from the surveillance tape the outcome. So you can see they're on the ground now, and the guy in the white is trying to get what looks like a grappling hold, and a bunch of other people are fighting, and the guy on the bottom is trying to wrestle him off, so the guy in the white is not effectively applying his hold, and you can see here that he's getting beaten on by other attackers, and the guy on the bottom just escaped from his grappling hold. Now they're beating on him, and now he's out. So let's rewind that. Okay, you see that the guy goes for a takedown and tries to grapple with him, like you see, probably Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, I don't know. The reason why this doesn't work is because, number one, when you go for a takedown, you always have to assume that your attacker has friends. Because if when you grapple on the ground, or even standing up, you're putting your body in a vulnerable position, as you can see here. And another thing is that the guy in the bottom is not going to grapple you and put you in a submission hold like normal grapplers would do. He's actually resisting. You're dealing with a resisting opponent. So you have to not you can't just go to the ground and expect to be safe, because it might work in MMA or UFC or whatever, but it's not going to work in a street situation. And right there, he could have, he could have clawed out his eyes. He could have done anything practically to the grappler, and now he's getting beaten on, and it's pretty much over at that point. There's nothing much he could have done. So yeah, that's an important lesson to learn. Don't go to the ground unless you necessarily have to. And in most situations, the fights usually they do end up on the ground, but it's usually your attacker throwing you over and beating the crap out of you with his fists, rather than just you know those Brazilian jiu-jitsu fights that you see in sports or whatever. So you should never go to the moral of the story is you should never go to the ground unless you necessarily have to. Um, so here we have this other case where let's watch it here. So here you have two guys arguing, and then he tries to lift him up, push him, and then he grabs him. The guy in white goes for a leg sweep, an arm bar. The guy on the bottom is screaming. You can clearly see the knife, and then he starts stabbing him right there, multiple times. So he lets go, and the fight's pretty much over. Okay, let's rewind that. In this situation, you have to, like I said, keep your distance and talk to the guy, verbally de-escalate, defuse the situation with non-threatening body language and other words, to empathetic language, stuff of that nature. And right there, the guy it would have been much more efficient and effective for the grappler to just have counterattacked him right there with a strike or a kick or whatever, to just grapple him and and put himself in more danger. That was his first mistake. Let's keep watching. Okay, so he goes for a takedown, and but that's not. But going to the ground, like I said before, is not really effective, because in this position now he can't really see what his attacker is doing, and he's vulnerable to attack, and all of his limbs are essentially useless, except his legs, maybe. And so it would have been much more effective for him to just take him down and then flee, or gave him a couple of kicks and punches, and it would have been over with. But as you can see, his attacker takes out a knife, and a guy in the white couldn't see it, and that's the end result. So it's very clear that in any grappling situation, you always have to be aware that your attacker might have a concealed weapon. And if he or she does, then you're screwed. So, and also, you also have to consider the level of pain tolerance that your attacker might have, because in the video you can clearly see and hear that he's screaming, but he's not tapping out like you would see in a UFC or MMA fight. So submission holds aren't always effective, especially when you're dealing with somebody who has a high level of pain tolerance and level of aggression, such as is shown here. So what's the verdict? Grappling can be effective from a standing position, provided that you use perfect timing, speed, and you have a knowledge of how to control your attacker, how to keep your vision awareness to its highest potential, and how to protect your own body from potential threats, but it's not effective on the ground or um, or again, using any flashy submissions or whatever against multiple attackers or armed opponents. So you have to keep those things in mind when grappling for self-defense. Those are just my thoughts on it. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Like this video, subscribe to my channel, and subscribe to my blog using the link below. Feel free to post or submit to me more videos that you want me to analyze. And with that being said, have a great day.